something. All right then.
All right, now we're going to do 10 minutes, continuing on in this same transcript at 160. All right, here we go. Let's see, I think line 11.
Line 11, okay.
Yeah. Is that where we want? Sure.
And before testifying today, did you also review your report?
I reviewed it briefly, yes.
Is there anything about your report at this time that you feel is inaccurate?
No, not to the best of my knowledge.
Is there anything about your report that should be deleted at this time based on your recollection of the incident?
Not to my knowledge.
Is there anything that you would think needs to be added to your report that you recall now that wasn't included in the report at the time that you wrote it?
It all depends on what issue you're going to bring about. The report is written for my own recollection. There's items or situations that did occur that are in my memory that could not be on the report of less significance.
Officer, I'm going to ask you to take a look at the first couple pages of your report. The one that says crime report in the upper left-hand corner of the page.
You are talking about the first page or second page?
Well, I'm talking about, I believe it's the first page.
Yes.
Did you prepare the first page of this report?
No, I did not. In this particular page, I filled out the suspect's information. Officer Metcalf filled the item number 1 and items 15 and 16.
I'm sorry, Officer Metcalf filled out item 15?
Yes.
Okay, and he wrote out item 16 as well?
Let me go over it again.
Okay.
Officer Metcalf filled number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 15, 16, item 42, item 43, item 47, and item 48.
Okay, officer, you lost me when you said item 42.
Okay, I'm sorry.
What word is in item 42?
C, report.
Oh, I see. Down at the bottom of the page?
Yes, and item 43, it also says C, report, and item 47.
And where is item 47?
Investigating officers Downing and Metcalf.
All right.
And item 48,
Did you fill in item 48?
yes, I did.
And that lists suspect number 1?
Yes,
And suspect number 2?
yes.
And suspect number 3?
My apologies. On suspect number 2, that was filled out by Officer Metcalf.
Okay, and on the second page of your report, there's another at the bottom of the page?
Yes,
Where it says listed in?
that's correct.
Says suspect number 4?
That's correct.
Who filled out that?
That was filled out by Officer Metcalf.
So you filled out suspect number 1 and suspect number 3 then, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And those were the only 2 people, suspect number 1 and suspect number 3, that you saw at the scene, is that right?
No, I think Mr. Gallegos, number 2, I think is the one that was with Mr. Carr at the time.
And where do you recall seeing suspect 3?
I believe he was in the backyard.
You don't recall at this time?
No, there were several people that we made contact with after that initial contact with Mr. Carr. That was due to the fact that there were several people that ran through the side of the residence.
How many people would you say ran through the side of the residence?
I don't know. Once I came back from placing him in the back of my patrol car and I was helping Officer Metcalf, I heard just a scuffle of people just running through the side of the house.
When you saw him, you mean Mr. Carr? You mean after you placed him in the back of your patrol car?
Yes, Your Honor.
At any time, did you see anyone else in the front lawn area of the residence?
Objection, vague as to time.
Yes, why don't you refine it?
Before you placed Mr. Carr under arrest and after you arrived at 2968 Betsy Way, did you see anyone else other than Mr. Carr and the man that you said was with him in the front of the residence?
No, ma'am.
Officer Downing, can you tell me what the lighting conditions were in the front of the residence?
The front of the residence was well lit. There was a light on the front porch.
A single porch light?
I don't recall, but it was very well lit, ma'am.
Do you recall seeing any street lights in the area?
I believe there was one a little bit to the side of the residence, but I'm not sure. I just recall the area being well lit.
Did you have your police vehicle lights on and focused on the front lawn area?
The car was facing westbound. Whatever light that originated from the headlights might have covered a portion of that area.
Did you have a spotlight focused on the front lawn area?
No, I don't recall that. I don't think so.
Did you have a flashlight? Were you using a flashlight to illuminate the front yard area?
No, ma'am.
When you approached Mr. Carr, you said he walked in an unsteady and slow manner, is that right?
Yes.
If I could just have one moment, Your Honor. When you followed Mr. Carr, did he continue to walk in an unsteady, slow manner that you previously described?
Yes.
How many steps did he take away from you?
One, when I got out of my patrol car or after I told him to stop.
When you got out of your patrol car,
He must have walked up 10 to 15 feet.
Is that 10 to 15 steps or 10 to 15 feet?
10 to 15 feet from the sighting of him.
and then you got out of your police car,
Yes.
and he continued to walk away as you tried to approach him?
Yes, ma'am.
At what point did you tell him to stop?
He had crossed the walkway. The lawn is separated by two lawns, or there's a first portion. He was walking across the walkway. Yeah, the walkway to the front of the residence.
Are you saying the front yard is divided by a walkway from the sidewalk to the front door?
Right.
You mean parkway? They call it the parkway strips in some places.
From the sidewalk, from the front door, there's a little walkway. He was going across that area.
So the yard is divided into two lawn areas then?
Yes.
And he had walked across one of the lawn areas and was walking across the sidewalk to the front door?
No, he was walking westbound across. The house is facing north.
Okay.
Okay, so he was walking right across the little walkway, and that's where he dropped the.
When did you tell him to stop?
As I was getting out of my car or closing the door.
Were you approaching him when you said you saw him drop something?
I was still walking. We both were still both walking.
Were you on his left or his right at that time?
I was right behind him, ma'am.
Now, from which hand did you see something drop?
I saw it come from the left side of his body.
And did you see his hand open?
All I saw was the item being dropped, and I grabbed him and turned him around.
So you saw the item fall?
Yes.
Where did the item land?
It landed right next to the little walkway. Right after it landed, I was trying to handcuff him. He tried to step on it and tried to move, like scrub the PCP cigarette, like to destroy type of thing. Then I pushed him away momentarily.
Officer, do you recall if he tried to step on it with his left foot or his right foot?
I don't recall exactly. I know I was trying to push him away from it. I don't recall which one it was.
Did he step on it?
Yes, he did.
And did he manage to scrape it along the pavement?
It wasn't on the pavement. Exactly where the cigarette had landed was dirt area. Momentarily he did.
You saw him scrape it along the ground?
Yeah, the cigarette didn't dissolve or break apart.
Did you then manage to handcuff him?
Yes, I did.
Did you at any time have to take out your baton?
Yes, I did.
And did you in fact use your baton in arresting Mr. Carr?
I used it as a control device. He was walking towards Mr. Gallegos. My fear was that if he got close to him, both of them being in the condition they were going to take us on and, of course, get into a fight that we were not going to be able to control.
Your Honor, never mind. Officer, what other symptoms of PCP influence did you observe
Prior to the arrest or after the arrest or
prior to the arrest?
prior to the arrest, the blank stare, slurred speech, and his rigid body movements.
And after the arrest, did you observe others?
After the arrest, I conducted a nystagmus test.